Welcome to the other view and to the next concept of stakeholders. If you recall from my last video, I briefly introduced the concept of stakeholders, and it is now the subject of this video. Stakeholders are, there are lots of definitions you'll find about stakeholders and who they are and what they are. I will go with my favorite, which is basically any individual or groups of individuals or organizations that have an interest in your organization, how it performs, positively or negatively, and what happens to it, and they look for it to deliver some of their own aspirations and their own objectives as well. So, for example, shareholders are stakeholders, your employees are stakeholders, your supply chain are stakeholders, your competitors are stakeholders. May not want to see you do well, but at least they are stakeholders in you in trying to eat up your piece of the cake of the market. The government could be a stakeholder if you're that type of organization. Environmental groups could be, distribution channels, and so on and so forth. Why do we have that concept of stakeholders? Why are they important? They are important because they generally have varying levels of power and varying levels of interest in your organization. So they have two major criteria: one, power and influence on one side, and level of interest on the other side. If they happen to be fairly powerful and influential, and they happen to have a high level of interest in your organization, then there will be basically trying to run the organization for you, because they want to make sure that what they want to happen does happen, because that's how they benefit from whatever you deliver as an organization. Yeah. So if you're a management team, okay, you need to really understand your various shareholders, and you need to understand what level of power and influence they have and what level of interest they have in your organization. And you need to group them in some kind of groupings, which gives you the ability to communicate with them, because you can't communicate with every single stakeholder differently. So the way you mark them, the way you segment them, and the way you communicate with them is absolutely critical. Some of them you want to absolutely be on the ball, and you're communicating with them very fast, very quickly, because the market could get affected by their own understanding of what you're trying to do and what you're delivering. Others, you need to just communicate with them on a regular basis, not necessarily very frequently, but they need to be kept informed, and so on and so forth. So it's very critical that you actually find a way of grouping your stakeholders in a number of groups that enable you to take them with you when you make big decisions. Because the most important thing about organizations and management of organizations is making the right decisions that will deliver your objectives. If you remember from VV-Most, the stakeholders have to essentially believe in the values you espouse, and in the vision and the mission and the objectives you have, and in the strategy of how you deliver those objectives. And if they get confused, then they will start interfering in the business in a variety of ways: politically, financially, people-wise, technologically, and so on and so forth. So you need to take them on board. A perfect example of that, just to mention one, as I wrote it in the last video, is the National Health Service. National Health Service is a great organization that we all love and adore, but we all know that it can be run more efficiently, it can be run more effectively, but it's very difficult to make it happen across all of its parts. And why is that? I would submit to you that part of the reason is the variety of stakeholders that are very powerful and very influential, and at the same time have a high level of interest in the organization, start pulling it in various different directions because they believe in certain groupings of deliverables that they expect from it. So they have the consultants and the doctors have a specific expectation of how the NHS should behave and what it should deliver and how it should deliver it. The patients have a slightly different perspective of what it should deliver and what it should give. The government has a different direction of what they're expecting from it. The pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies, and the technology companies may have a different expectation, and they pull it in another direction, and so on. So when you look at all of this, if you end up as a management team with so many differing so many different stakeholders pulling you in various directions, you essentially can't please them all the time, and you find yourself in a state of paralysis in making decisions. And as a result, you stagnate and you do not move as efficiently or as effectively, simply because you're being pulled in all of those kind of different directions in there. So, but the only way you can minimize that paralysis, or you can minimize that stagnation, is by making sure up front and proactively that you know and understand your stakeholders so well that you position in advance and proactively the strategies you're trying to follow, and how they will deliver to each one of those stakeholders what they are expecting and what they want from you. If you do not get into that kind of understanding of your stakeholders, it is fairly likely that your ability to deliver on your values and vision and mission and objectives and the strategies you deliver on may not move either as fast at best as you want them to, or may completely fail to deliver what you're trying to deliver. So it is critical that you come to grips with the concept of stakeholders. It's critical that you understand two things: what is the content you need to deliver, but also the way you deliver to them as well, because they have different aspects of your organizations that they would be interested in, and those aspects delivery. In the future, we will elaborate a lot more on that in the podcasts that we will probably be planning. Okay, so for the time being, I wanted to introduce more fully that concept of stakeholders, how important they are. I would like you to finish, by the way, with the concept that this same thing applies to us as individuals. We as individuals in our own lives as well have our own stakeholders, and those stakeholders are also critical. So the more comfortable you are and the more you understand your own stakeholders and being able to take them with you, I would submit to you, you would have a more contented life, an easier life, and a more encompassing life. And your stakeholders could be your partner, your children, your friends, your family members, your bank manager, believe it or not, is a stakeholder in you. Your mortgage company is a stakeholder in you. The more you are comfortable with all of those stakeholders, the easier your day-to-day decision making and your day-to-day work becomes. Thank you for listening.